I was first alerted to this situation with Dr. Glenn Toby, my agent. We have a young girl that has irritable bowel and polyps in her lower intestinal tract. So one of the things we have to do is develop a treatment protocol. One of the first steps that we do moving forward, we have to look at what the current treatment protocol is, okay, in different locations in the United States, what this little girl is going through, and then we have to customize a protocol based on advanced markers that she may not be getting in her current treatment protocol. So that was step one. My history in understanding how the brain and the intestinal tract are connected started back when I was on the SWAT team working as a paramedic. Everybody in that field had problems with their intestinal tract, inflammation, polyps. So, you know, they would take care of it with inflammation. There was one treatment protocol for all the cops, firemen, and emergency room doctors that had problems with their gut. Now we know those problems are nutritionally and hormonally related. There's an imbalance in the flora in the intestinal tract. So this research that I've gleaned over 30 years, I'm going to plug into this treatment protocol for Mike Smith and his family. Okay, Glenn Toby was on the tip of the spear, alerted us to this situation, and we pulled two physicians together, a research lab, a pharmacy, and my operations manager to start this process moving forward. So we want to prevent the polyps from turning into cancer over time. And using a multifactorial treatment protocol, that's exactly what we're going to do. Okay, the second step to this process of a multifactorial treatment protocol to understand IBS polyps is to understand that the family currently are also under stress. The family is currently being told what to do for their daughter, a list of medication that their daughter has to be on. Now we're coming in and saying, listen, we're going to be looking at another area. Okay, we're going to actually take the family on a multifactorial customized treatment protocol that they've never heard before. So this is going to cause some confusion in their mind. So this is why education is key. Empowering the patient and the family with knowledge to make smart decisions about their loved one, or in this case their daughter, is going to move them to the next level in treatment protocol. And that way, when they run into a doctor that just want to give the daughter an anti-inflammatory drug that's going to damage other parts of her body, it may knock out the inflammation in the intestinal tract, but it causes multiple systems to shut down. We're going to put that information in a booklet for the family. That's what my research team does. They put the information in a booklet so the family can follow this treatment protocol. So let's look at this. Obviously, we look at the intestinal flora. The intestinal tract has flora that lives in the intestinal tract that keeps our bodies in balance. There's 400 or 500 different flora depending on the study. If that flora is out of balance, it's going to compromise the lining of the intestinal tract. So by testing the flora, we could begin a new treatment protocol that focuses on the gut and the brain chemistry. Now understand, when your intestinal tract is out of balance or you've got irritable bowel, stress can cause that. If you're going to school, you're being bullied, even if you're a paramedic working on emergency scenes, whether it's a child or an adult, physical, mental, or emotional stress, the brain-gut connection can cause inflammation in the gut. So we look at that. Genetics plays a role. Okay, you may have a genetic susceptibility to polyps, but the epigenetics, how you live your lifestyle and what you do, can take care of that. So genetics cocks the trigger, the epigenetics pulls it. So you have a genetic susceptibility for polyps. We can actually impact your behavior with diet, with nutrition, with certain hormonal replacement therapy, and that's called epigenetics, and we can control the flora in the intestinal tract as well as the growth of polyps. Adrenaline. When you're in the flight or flight response, again, this gets back to stress. If you're a child that lays their head down on the pillow at night and is worried about grades or worried about parents' divorce, or you have a child that has a history of nutritional deficiencies and being sick, when those kids go to sleep at night, they secrete extra adrenaline. This causes constriction, not only of their arteries, but imbalances in their intestinal tract. So there's a psychological component here that we have to look at when we're trying to balance out a child's intestinal tract, trying to help a child get well with either IBS or polyps. Insulin. We know that insulin is a growth hormone. So insulin can actually feed the polyps on a cellular level and cause them to grow. So balancing out the child's insulin levels, keeping insulin low, getting the child on a ketogenic diet will increase the fat. If you increase the fat content in omega-3 and omega-6, you can actually balance out the intestinal flora and knock out inflammation. So diet is an important component of this, and we'll educate the family on how to put the child on a diet that will actually rehab the intestinal tract. Intermittent fasting, as you can see, fasting is a real hot topic right now with irritable bowel and polyps. And if you think about it, if we keep the blood sugar low it's not going to feed the polyps, it's not going to grow. If we keep insulin levels low, it's not going to feed the polyps and have the polyps grow. These are all treatment protocols that are not looked at by traditional gastroenterologists. And I have a friend here in town, Ira Shafran, gastroenterologist. I showed him this about a year ago, and he didn't buy into it. Now I talk to him, he goes, "Oh, I was an old man set in my ways." So again, this is really new, and the educational part is real important. Think about fasting. When we have somebody fast, when we do intermittent fasting or periodic fasting, it gives the intestinal tract time to heal. The intestinal cells in the gut are one of the cells that turn over very, very frequently. So if we fast or introduce this fasting slowly into the child's routine, then it's going to allow the intestinal tract to heal. It's going to slow down symptoms, which is very important. Nutrition is going to play a role. Advanced glycation. Basically, advanced glycation, when the blood sugar is up too high, it causes free radical damage on a cellular level. So advanced glycation means that protein and sugar mix. It's like when you cut an apple in half and the apple gets brown. That's called advanced glycation. That can happen in the intestinal lining. So we're going to look at that, and we're going to test that, and then we're going to plug in a treatment protocol. So this is just a 60,000-foot view of a multifactorial approach that we're going to pull together for this family. And ground zero, the foundation, is correcting these deficiencies first. In order to get the body to resonate, this is an example of the lining of the intestinal tract. Okay, we are not what we eat, we are what we absorb. If the intestinal tract is out of balance, okay, if the intestinal tract has polyps, we have to look at multiple metabolic markers that control this. And as I mentioned earlier, high insulin levels, a growth hormone, high sugar, high carbohydrates, an imbalance in omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids can cause inflammation. Mental stress can cause inflammation in this area. Some of these polyps in these fingers can become cancerous. The polyps form in this area and can get into the bloodstream. So by looking at polyps and irritable bowel with a multifactorial treatment protocol, we could target this area with simple things like intermittent fasting, simple things like balancing the intestinal flora. In order to get the body to resonate with multiple patients that we have with specific diseases, cancer, diabetes, and heart disease, we always focus on the intestinal tract to get the body to resonate. So if we have a little girl that has an imbalance in her intestinal tract, we know she is not pulling nutrients out of food. If she's not pulling nutrients out of food, when she goes to bed at night, she's going to mine those nutrients from her own tissue. Think about that. On the average, we need 21 minerals, 13 vitamins, 8 amino acids, 2 essential fats. We need that from food. If you don't get that from food, or your intestinal tract is out of balance, your body will mine it from your own tissue. And then the body starts to break down, and we don't want this to happen to kids. This is the first of a kind treatment protocol, multifactorial based with this condition, and we know that this will generalize across other children that have this issue. We could use this treatment protocol for a variety of symptoms for the intestinal tract. Again, we just want to understand there is a brain-gut connection now. The microbiome is a very, very hot topic. We have New York Times articles, Wall Street Journal articles talking about the imbalance of the intestinal tract. So we know what we developed here can be generalized across children with IBS issues. Part of this treatment protocol is to look on a cellular level of how polyps can turn into cancer. So physiologically, we know cancer needs two things. It needs sugar and it needs material, veins and arteries to go to the cancer cell, to grow and to proliferate. There's a little cellular traffic cop called P53 on every cell in the body. When P53 gets damaged from free radical damage or from nutrient deficiencies, the P53 gene causes what they call apoptosis. When cancer starts to grow and then it stops, the P53 gene takes care of that. So by measuring on a cellular level what's going on and what's causing cells to grow, whether it's insulin, high sugar, all cancers grow in a high glucose environment. All cancers have insulin receptors on the site. So by just keeping the insulin down, by keeping the blood sugar down, we could slow the cancer growth. We could also look inside the mitochondria. Okay, I have a mitochondria video. By doing the testing we're doing right now, we're looking at the mitochondria on a cellular level. Cancer cells has damaged mitochondria, okay, which causes the cells to keep growing. Actually, cancer cells are immortal. They don't stop growing. Apoptosis in a normal cell, a cell will divide 40 to 60 times and then die. That's just the normal cellular response. It's called the Hayflick effect. Now, I don't want to lose you guys. Cancer loses the ability of apoptosis or dying, and cancer cells keep growing. So what causes that proliferation? Elevated estrogen, high insulin, okay? High blood sugar, damaged mitochondria, low antioxidants, imbalance of omega-3 to omega-6. So the multifactorial treatment protocol that we develop can focus and stop these polyps from turning into cancer. Okay, now taking this down on a cellular level, we're able to look at the little energy packs in every cell. Every cell has the mitochondria that creates energy, or ATP. With the advanced testing, looking at the irritable bowel and looking at the polyps in the intestinal tract, we could actually measure the mitochondria on a cellular level. And here's a graphic of the mitochondria. These amazing energy packets create energy in every cell of the body. The intestinal tract and the intestinal lining turns over very quickly. So when this mitochondria gets damaged from poor diet, if this mitochondria gets damaged from toxins in the environment, a lot of physicians don't understand how the toxins in the environment can impact the intestinal tract and damage the mitochondria. Pesticides around the house, fungicides, any chemical you rub on the skin or brush your teeth with adds a body burden and causes the mitochondria on a cellular level to get damaged. So understand, we're testing the mitochondria. What does a mitochondria use? Fats and protein. By cutting the carbohydrates out of the diet, by doing intermittent fasting, we can actually increase mitochondria and cellular function on a cellular level to put up a shield for people with polyps, to put up a shield with people with IBS. This hasn't been done anywhere in the world, folks. This is the first multifactorial treatment protocol that looks at the mitochondria on a cellular level to stop the progression of polyps turning into cancer. One of the things we learned over the years by developing these high-level interventions is we have to educate the family. And you would think I'd want to educate the doctor. We educate the physicians, but here's why we want to educate the family. Because a family is going through a stress. Whether you have a little girl or a son, you actually have three patients, the mother and the father and the little girl, the son, that has a problem. So when the family goes into these pristine institutions, they walk in, led by the hand, and they're being told that this institution, whether it be the Mayo Clinic or a high-level center, has the best treatment protocol. And when in reality, they don't have the best treatment protocol because they're not looking at multiple metabolic markers. You have to understand that these high-level institutions are practicing the standard of care. And the standard of care, an example I use is, back in the day when they had the Model T Ford, there was one black car coming off the assembly line for everybody. That's how they treat patients. One treatment protocol for everybody. We, on the other hand, pull a team together that customizes the treatment protocol based on your own unique biological markers. And the reason what we do is not so popular is because you can't make a lot of money on it because it takes too much time. This is an example of a multifactorial treatment protocol that my team puts together. When we first get the initial call, we start the research, we alert our doctors, we do testing, we compare and contrast what's being done, as an example, at the Mayo Clinic and what we can do. And then we plug in a treatment protocol that lasts 1 to 2 years to rehab this patient. The standard of care that's currently out there for specific disease states is a sweeping generalization for everybody across the board. We do advanced treatment protocols based on the biochemical individuality of each person. Every person is biochemically unique, and they need a treatment protocol customized to only them.